Yes, this is a thing that happens when you start to hang an axe. Just can't be helped. And then put a wedge in it. Oh yeah, it's going. Let's see how much we moved. All right, guys, so I realize this is a highly desirable pattern, and I am often guilty in reviews of spending more time talking about the handle, but that's because of a reason that I want to address right up front. And this is probably not going to be a popular sentiment. I think that the Connecticut pattern, the Tassie, and the Jersey are essentially just modifications of the Dayton. He said the Connie and the Tassie are the same. They're all just Daytons. Oh, MJ, this kid knows nothing. Take that. Yeah, I said it. I think the Jersey is just the Connecticut with lugs. And I think the Tassie is just a bigger, fatter example of the Connecticut. That's not a popular sentiment. Post that on a forum and guys will let you have it and talk about the minute changes in geometry. But I was kicking this back and forth with Ben Scott, and he put it so well that I just wanted to quote him. And this comes from a guy who knows his axe patterns really well and is involved in timber sports. He said, only major changes are going to have minor differences in your chopping. I swallowed my beard. I want to say that again because I think it's well said. Only major changes in head geometry are going to have minor differences in chopping. I thought that was so well said. I just wanted to give him credit and quote him for saying that. I've also talked with Owen Jarvis at length about something we seem to agree with, which is basically if you can get the grind sub 20, close to 15 degrees, it's going to chop pretty much like any other axe. Basically, if you can sharpen it, it'll chop. That's why I spend so much time on the handle, because I feel as if the handle really does make the axe. That said, I really do want to focus on this Connecticut pattern because I have looked at this pattern as a possible like perfect chopper, perfect bucking, felling machine because of the wide edge, but I want to use it some more before I just start popping off at the mouth. I just did a little limbing today. I did do a little bucking off camera just so that I could see if this thing would split, and as I suspected, it is not going to split very well unless it's backed up, and that's probably due to the geometry. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way, that I'm kind of coming from a place of using this axe to do cordwood work or to process firewood, and while I think this is a beautiful pattern, I do think it's just a modification of the Dayton, and I think Daytons are so ubiquitous for a good reason. It's all guys ever really needed. They never really needed a whole lot more until they got into like professional the professional realm, and then they got the bit becomes a bit more flared, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, don't bite my head off because I said this is basically a Dayton. Good morning, guys. I hope you're all well. I just thought I'd take the Connie out finally on this nice, calm, cool morning and do a little light limbing here on this maple that fell across the path. To be honest, I probably shouldn't be doing this. My arms are still messed up. I do got braces on underneath my sweatshirt here, but I don't intend to do any bucking or any serious chopping. Just want to see how this guy limbs, and we're going to talk a little bit of theory. That's it. So let's get this guy limbed up.
So I said maple by mistake. This is clearly a red oak, and it's been down across the path for over a year. I was amazed at how hard this wood was to cut. Listen to the sound this thing makes. So right now I'm thinking, you gotta be kidding me.
Still feels a little bouncy. I think I'm gonna have to take the cheeks back more. This is only about a 19-degree flat grind, so probably need to take that down some more.
Ooh, that's gonna chop. Make it flat.
Hang seems good.
Well, good morning again, guys. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been out here chopping. You know I'm not supposed to if you follow me because I got bad case of tennis elbow, but we are going to do some chopping today. Arms be damned. But I am just out here mostly to enjoy the woods, watch spring come in as it does, seemingly very fast, but actually, in fact, very slowly. And it's interesting and neat every year to get out and watch it come in slowly as it actually, in fact, does. But yeah, my arms were getting a little bit better. I do thank those of you who have offered me some assistance or some advice on how to heal my tennis elbow. But unfortunately for me, the thing that I really need to do is just give it a break. And I just don't have that luxury. They were getting slightly better, but then we had to sand down some floors at work. So here's one even you axe guys might be interested in. Some of you ask about work stuff. And usually it's stuff you guys probably aren't interested in, but this week we've been sanding down these pine floors on the whole first floor here. And they want to just go with a natural look. So look at all that boiled linseed oil. We got a lot of it to lay down here. Anyway, I'll check in with you guys in a little while. And do some wallpaper removal, none of which were good for the tennis elbow. So I'm still dealing with quite a lot of pain in my arms. And for those of you who have went through this, serious tennis elbow, you know what I'm talking about. It's just not fun. I never imagined it could be this bad. In any case, like I said, we're going to talk about the Connie and we're going to do some chopping. So let's get at it. All right, what I really need to do is get this in two pieces so that I can manage it for bucking. It's much too small to stand on, so I'm gonna have to make a V-notch from the top. Now that that's sorted. All right, so I ground this back some more. Right now I have it sitting somewhere around 17 degrees with the smallest of micro bevels. This is 17.5. Turn it around so you guys can see it. That's 17.5, definitely some wiggle room in there. And 15, it's not quite 15. So we'll say 17. And I think if I turn this just right in the light, you guys can see the micro bevel, like a 32nd of an inch on both sides, flat grind up until the micro bevel. So more or less what I would call a rolled edge. So 17 degrees with a rolled edge, and I just strop that all into each other. Suffice it to say, she is sharp. We're gonna do some chopping today despite my arms still being shit. So here I hope you can see the profile of the Connie or the Connecticut pattern. Pretty thin. It's thinner typically than most Daytons. Daytons are typically longer at this weight, and they taper back to a much fatter, slight convex on either side. I would consider this mostly flat, although there is a very slight convex from one side to the other. It has mostly flat cheeks. So in bigger wood, probably gonna be a bit sticky. I'm rarely chopping anything over 10, 12 inches, so that doesn't matter to me as much as it might to you. So you got to imagine that guys started with this pattern. Of course, historically, they did start with the Dayton, and pretty much were asking for nothing else until they got into more specialized jobs. Like maybe they divided up the crews, and now you had guys that were hired just to do some limbing, and maybe they were asking for something with a wider bit, or I suppose in felling larger trees in the Northeast, something like this would come in handy. But cutting the kind of stuff I'm cutting, I just don't see the need for this. And because these tend to go at a higher markup on eBay than the boring old Daytons, I'm gonna stick with the boring old Daytons. All right, here I go again talking about the handle rather than the head. But for those of you who want to know, I put this on a 32-inch full-size Killinger handle, but I got it down to a 30-inch haft, which is the longest length of handle I prefer on any weight of head. Definitely biting better. It's definitely biting better, and of course 2 notches I can't say a whole lot about, but because it's so thin, just doesn't want to pop those chips out, it seems like. We'll see. Does bite good. Definitely will be a great feller, and I'm sure as I do more limbing, I'll like it for that as well. So this is me basically trying to convince myself that I like this, but as of now, I kind of find it a bit shit, to be honest. Jury's still out, but it's not a great bucker at all. There's one cause for concern. This is why I think Daytons are so popular, and why I like Daytons so much, is because the bit's flat on the top. As soon as you flare that bit, yeah, you get a wider cutting edge, but when bucking, this thing tends to plow some furrows. It's why I'm a little bit skeptical of like the Arvika 5-star as a good on the ground bucking, and even that new Tui work axe or camp axe they call it. We'll see. I mean, you could always modify it, but one of the advantages of that is for limbing and felling. Let's keep at it. So you probably noticed that I more or less went back to my swinging technique and gave up on, Ben's Timber Sports way. But I do want to say one thing that I've learned from him and that I continue to do. I don't pull my axe, or I try not to pull my axe over my head as much. I'm looking for more or less parallel, because I noticed anytime I go like this, it's lost power. I have to bring the axe back, and there's a loss of power from here to here, and perhaps the loss of accuracy. So even though I'm not using the Timber Sports method of bucking, I am still taking something away from it. She is a little bit sticky, but I often find that in maple, axes are.
Suffering a little buyer's remorse, maybe?
Definitely sticky. I find myself shaking it out all the time. Got a knot right there again. This thing's full of them. See? Plowing dirt again with that toe. Toe in the dirt again. So here's my main concern with the Connecticut pattern as far as bucking is concerned. On this bottom hit where I presented the hill nicely, look how much toe I have sticking out of the wood. And you can see over here, I wasn't really able to quite get the V-cut clean on the bottom, because that meant presenting my toe basically right into the dirt. And as you saw on several occasions, the toe of this old girl is dirty. She got a fetish. She got a toe fetish. So you can see here on this plum jersey I've yet to hang that much of the flared toe is already rolled back. I suspect that's going to be the case with the Connie over time as well, because of this flared bit. Of course, it's not as an extreme of a flare as the Arvika 5-star, and I realize this is not a Tasmanian pattern per se, but essentially that's what you get when you get a Tassie, is a fatter, thicker Connie. I'm sorry, it is.
The Connie and the Tassie are the same? No way!
Shaking it out of the cut again. Come on. Woo, look at that knot. Does get under knots pretty good. There we go. A lot easier with the shovel. That's what I'm looking for. Wasn't expecting to find these here today. I thought it would still be too cold at night. Now I gotta come back down and get you. Woo! All right, guys, I just got back, took a long walk, did a little exploring, found some wild garlic. This is not to be confused with ramps. Ramps are wild leeks and taste better than this. This is more like a radish, though they're quite tasty too. I'm gonna eat some of this with some of this. And then we'll do a little splitting, talk a little more about the Connie. Yep, just won't penetrate that wood quite enough. I'm gonna hit it one more time, golfing style. Nope. Nope. Here's a close-up of what just happened. Look how far you have to bury this bit into the eye before this will start prying it apart. That's the problem. It buries itself nice and deep, but that just makes it hard to get out. Now I got to try to get this axe unstuck. Nope. Yet again, I have that buried up to the handle and it still won't pop this open. And you can see there's no knots there, the knot's over there. So, not a good splitter, in my opinion. You can, of course, make it split. You can pretty much make anything split. With the Connie, it's gonna have to be backed up. And you're gonna have to bury this a couple of times to make it work. So it will split. I'm not saying it won't. But it's not good at it. You almost got to chase the crack by flopping it around. Yes, I know. My foot's in the way. Which does make it unsafe, especially as I swing like that. But I'm not swinging very hard. And I'm confident I'm gonna hit and stick my axe. All right, that should be better for this purpose. It's just a shit splitter any way you cut it. I'm sorry. God. All right, guys, that's about all the time I have, and my arms are starting to bother me, so I know I need to quit. The jury is still out on this. I need to use it some more. I need to fell and limb some more, and the handle is great. I have nothing bad to say about the handle other than I'm probably going to adjust the palm swell a little bit. I went with an asymmetrical palm swell on this, and the reasoning being is that this palm, side of the palm, right, needs to be filled out by the swell. But this side, your fingers wrap around. So I think you can tell here, I scooped this side out where my fingers go around and left this a little fatter. I actually like that. It feels really nice. It's just too big for me. I'm gonna take some off. Not all of it. I'm getting, I'm getting more used to having an axe with the swell on it, but I'm gonna take about that much off. And once I take about that much off, it'll feel better because I'll be holding it right at the bottom of the axe where I feel comfortable. The weight is great on this. I really like that they're able to get 3 pounds distributed in such a short, small package. That's really where the Connie excels, I think, is the weight distribution. Because it's nice and thin and wide, they're able to pack a lot of punch in a small axe. This is a 3-pound axe and it doesn't feel like it. It feels more like a 2.5 pound axe and swings like one as well. And that's gonna be great for felling larger trees, in the 10, 12 inch range diameter. But as I already said, shit splitter and an okay bucker, but I'd give it like a B- on bucking. And honestly, like, it fails in splitting. I would not pick this axe up to split. I did some limbing on a dead tree, and I didn't have the grind quite right, so I can't quite comment on that, but I know this is gonna be a good limmer. Other than that, yeah, it was a good day out in the woods. I hope you guys enjoy the axe talk. I know I didn't talk a whole lot about the patterns and the minute geometry and stuff, but let's keep it real, guys. It doesn't matter that much. We'll talk a little bit more in the shop about the difference between this and a Dayton and a Tassie and a Jersey, but let's be honest, it's the same axe.